You pulled an extra $30,000 out of your retirement account. You needed it. Maybe a new roof, maybe a cruise, maybe you helped out one of your kids. It really doesn't matter what it's for. Here's the thing nobody tells you about. That one withdrawal might raise your Medicare premiums 2 years from now, and you won't see the bill until you've forgotten all about it. I'm Eric. I'm dual licensed as a certified financial planner professional and tax preparer, and this is Retirement Simplified. Now, most people think Medicare costs the same for everybody, and it is until it's not. There's a standard Medicare premium most people pay, but if your income is above a certain amount, you pay an extra charge on top of it. The official name is IRMAA. In layman's term, it's the income-related monthly adjustment amount, and that's just a fancy way of saying an extra Medicare charge for higher income retirees. Now, this is the exact same coverage, just billed higher if you have a higher income, so it's essentially a tax. And here's the part that throws most people. Medicare doesn't look at what you're earning today. It looks at your tax return from 2 years ago. So the Medicare premium you pay today was based on the income you reported 2 years ago. So if you're watching this video in 2026, your Medicare premium is based on income from 2024. 2027 premiums are based on income that you made back in 2025. So that 2-year delay is the whole reason that catches people off guard. The decision you make this year doesn't show up as a bill until 2 years from now. So what's the line? Well, for a married couple in 2026, based on published CMS data, it's $218,000, but it's a specific type of income. Medicare uses something called the modified adjusted gross income. So think of it as your adjusted gross income plus a couple add backs. So your pension counts, traditional IRA withdrawals count, investment income counts, and part of your Social Security income counts as well. So let's look at a retired couple. Between the two of them, about $130,000 in retirement income. To cover their normal expenses, they pull about $60,000 out of their traditional IRA each year. Now, a real couple in this spot would probably also have some Social Security, and that would count towards their MAGI too. I'm leaving that out here just to keep the math clean, but I want to be clear about what this means. In most real situations, adding Social Security would push this couple closer to the line, maybe over it, before they took an extra dollar. So this simplified example almost certainly understates the real risk. Your own picture obviously is going to depend on your own income. But just using the pension in the IRA for this illustration, that's about $190,000 in MAGI. So that's well underneath the $218,000 line for now. Now this year, they want to do something. The market's up, their investments are looking pretty good, so maybe they want to do a big trip with the grandkids, maybe a new vehicle, or finally get to that bathroom that needs to be redone. So in this example, they take an extra $30,000 out of one of their IRAs on top of everything else. That $30,000 would push their MAGI to $220,000, so they just cross that line by a few $1,000s. And here's the real kicker. They're not going to feel it for 2 years. There'll be a letter, it's confusing, they'll have long forgotten about the trip or the remodel, and that extra charge is going to show up for both spouses, assuming they're both on Medicare, and that's going to keep showing up every month, month in and month out for the entire year. So in plain terms, based on the 2026 CMS published rates, that's about an additional $95 per month per spouse. Again, assume both of you are enrolled in Medicare. That's the Part B surcharge plus the Part D surcharge, and that Part D applies if you're in the drug plan. So your exact Part D amount can vary a little bit by your plan, but that's just the baseline. So you're looking at about close to $200 a month for that couple. Over a year, roughly $2,300. That's the first tier of Medicare. And let's say we add a couple $100,000 if your income is higher than that rate is going to grow exponentially. Now, why does this surprise so many people? A few reasons. First, we already talked about this, is that 2-year delay. By the time the increase hits, the withdrawal feels like ancient history. Number 2, the letter from Social Security is genuinely hard to read. I've seen a lot of these letters, and they're not really designed for normal human consumption. Third, most people rarely connect the dots between last year's withdrawal and next year's Medicare. Nobody told them to. So the line between those two things isn't really as obvious unless someone walks you through it. I'm not making this video to talk you out of the trip or helping your kid with the down payment. You worked your entire life for this money. You've earned it. If you want to spend it on something that's going to enrich your life, that's 100% up to you. That isn't my money, it's your money. The reason I'm making this video is so that cost isn't a surprise. There's a real difference between deciding to do something while you know the full price tag and then finding out part of the price tag 2 years later when you can't do anything about it. So if you're sitting on a big withdrawal this year, here are some questions worth considering. These are general concepts, and the right answer is going to depend on your entire picture. So work through them with a tax professional or a financial advisor. Where do I sit relative to the threshold right now? So first, find out where you sit before you take any additional money out. Add up what counts towards MAGI, your pension, IRA withdrawals, part of your Social Security, etc. See how much room you have before you cross that line. Second, could I split this withdrawal over 2 tax years? Sometimes maybe you consider taking part of that money in December and then maybe the other half in January of next year. That could change everything. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's exactly the kind of number a tax advisor can run before you pull the money. Does the source of the money change the picture? The source really matters. Money from an IRA hits your tax return as ordinary income, the full amount. Money from a regular brokerage account is treated completely differently. You're generally taxed only on the gains, not the full amount of the withdrawal. So it often adds far less to your MAGI. How much it costs depends on your cost basis, but the gains you do realize still count. And so spending down a taxable account does mean giving up some tax advantage that your heirs may otherwise get. So it's not automatically the best move. There's no universal right or wrong answer. It's really going to depend on your situation, your heirs, your taxes. And again, this is why you'd want to work through this with an advisor or your tax person. If it were me, I would definitely want to run these numbers before I made the choice, not find out 2 years later. So your situation is definitely going to look different than this made-up example. Your pension, your other income, your spouse's income, all of that completely changes the picture. And for a withdrawal you simply choose to take, you generally can't change it after the fact. Now, the Social Security Administration does have an appeal process for these Medicare premiums. It's called Form SSA 44, but it's really only for big events. Things like retiring, termination of employment, divorce, or even death of a spouse. A decision to take money out of your IRA isn't one of them. One nuance, if you had one of those qualifying events in the same year that you took a big withdrawal from your IRA, that event would definitely be grounds, in my opinion, for you to contact the Social Security Administration about your situation. Now, an advisor can help you sort out whether an appeal is worth pursuing, but the voluntary withdrawal for a vacation or remodeling a bathroom on its own can't be appealed. The only place this gets handled well is on the front end before the money comes out. Now, we'll put a link in the description if you want to view that SSA 44 appeal form. You don't need to be afraid of taking a withdrawal. You just need to know what it's going to cost. The full cost, including the part that doesn't show up for 2 years. Most people never connect last year's withdrawal to next year's Medicare bill. Now you do. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you at the next one.